Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Life Proof Summer Career Festival 2021 with Find Your Future. And today we're going to be reacting to the Getting Past Employers test videos, just so everyone in here can learn a bit more information about sort of what employers want when it comes to interviews and what we can sort of expect. So first of all, my name is Kieran. I'm 18 years of age, currently looking for some sort of employment. So this is very useful personally to me.
Hi guys, my name is Mima and I am 19 at the moment, and I'm in employment, but it's not really what I want to do. So I'm looking at other options, getting the skills and experiences to get the jobs that I actually want to get.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah. I'm 22 years old. I'm currently studying English and creative writing. So just as I'm about to graduate, I'm looking for other jobs as well. So this is a good opportunity for me too.
Okay, brilliant.
My name's Glenn. I'm from Coventry City Council's Job Shop. I'm here with my colleague, Lindsay.
Hello, obviously I'm Lindsay and I work at the Job Shop too as an employment link officer.
And today what we're going to do is do a little bit of a run through on getting through employer tests. I don't know how many of you have had employer tests before. It might be something that's quite new to you. It might be something that you've done in previous applications, also perhaps done for college, uni applications as well. So we're going to give you some sort of run through of it, give you a few top tips, give you some pointers as to where to go. And hopefully at the end of this webinar, you'll be a little bit more confident with employer tests, and hopefully we can be helpful to you in this. So firstly, just some general top tips for any employer tests. Obviously, read all the instructions when you get an email about an employer test, and really think about when the test needs to be done by. Now, normally you're going to get an email after you've applied for a job, and they're going to talk on that email about any tests that you need to do. And there should be clear instructions as to when they need you to submit that test by, whether you'll be doing it on the employer site, whether you've got to do it in your own home, and what the instructions are. So please do read all of that really carefully. In the past, for me, I know that I've nearly been caught out on this when I've suddenly realised the test needed to be done on that day, and then I've been rushing to get it done when I could have given myself a bit more time. So it sounds obvious, but please do read all the instructions. And as I say, give yourself plenty of time to prepare. Practice makes perfect with tests. And what you can do to help with your practice, and we'll go through this a lot through the presentation, is really use Google as your friend here. You will find lots of resources for these different types of tests, lots of different practice tests. So please do the research on those to help yourselves out. And finally, do go back to the employer if you're unsure as to what to do, particularly if it's the first time you've ever had to do this type of test. If the instructions they've given you don't seem very clear, just go back to them and ask, because it's better to do that and then get the test right than it is to try and muddle through it and then find yourself really struggling to do the right thing.
Right, so first of all, I'm just going to say I've not really experienced many of these tests before. I've had one or two interviews in the past, but not really anything like this. I don't know if any of you two have had any experiences like this before.
No, I don't think I've ever had to take a test during whilst applying for a job, and I don't think I'd apply for a job that required me to take a test unless it was like a, say, graduate job or anything like medical or anything like that.
True. I agree with what Aaliyah said. I've applied for a few jobs, and you do get, it depends on what test he's referring to, because when you apply on jobs, because everything's online around about now, when you're applying on jobs like for maybe Next or Aldi or Mackey's or something, you do have to do like an application thing, or they give you like scenarios. If he's referring to that as tests, I feel like it's quite straightforward. But no, he makes it sound like it's, you walk into a classroom, you sit down, here's a paper. It's not really that type of test. So I'm not quite sure what he's referring to as a test, because at the end of the day, it just comes down to a job application, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely, when I've had like job, looking for jobs and things, I've done what you said, like completing out like questionnaires of what would you do in this certain scenario or whatever. But yeah, nothing particular like this. I don't really understand it at the moment. So hopefully, this gives us a bit more information.
Mm.
Yeah, complete makes sense as we
Main
go
types
through.
of tests that you might get asked to do. I'm going to go through each one of these in a little bit of detail. So we've got job knowledge tests, cognitive ability tests, skills assessment tests, integrity tests, personality tests, emotional intelligence tests, and lastly, physical ability tests. It sounds like a lot there, but we're going to go through each one. You're never going to be asked to do all 7, but you might be asked to do 1 or 2 of these depending on the type of job you've applied for and depending on what the employer prefers to do. So firstly, job knowledge tests. So employers use these to find out what you know about the job that you're applying for. So these are going to be specific to a particular job and a particular company. For example, you might be applying for an accountancy job and they've got a particular software that they use. They've put in the job description that you need to have experience using that software. So they're going to want to test you on that because lots of people might put on their job application, yeah, I'm brilliant at using that software. But obviously they want to see how good you really are and how confident you are with their software. Another example, you've gone for a data analyst job and they want to test you on the CRM system. Again, it's said on the application form that you need to have experience of using this system, so they're going to test you out on that. So top tips for job knowledge tests, obviously read the questions really thoroughly. Definitely take a pause before diving in. Again, I've been guilty of this in the past before where I've just jumped straight in thinking I knew what I needed to do, got very kind of excited by it, got in a bit of a rush, and then halfway through you realize you're actually doing the wrong thing. So you don't want to be doing that. So definitely read it thoroughly, take a pause, take a big breath, and make sure you know exactly what you need to be doing. Google search for practice tests for those particular employers using those particular bits of software or the things that they're going to be testing you on. And if it's something that you've used in a previous job, which hopefully it should be, or it might be something you've used school, college, uni, obviously dig out your old work notes, etc.
Honestly,
So go on.
no worries. Yeah, it sounds more like he's referring to the tests that you get when applying for a job. And they kind of just ask you questions. I feel like they're a bit of like trick questions, but yeah, I think it's starting to make a bit more sense what he's referring to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe with this one, it's sort of me personally. I've never really experienced this because it's sort of on about things with experience. So we had talked about their accountancy and data analysts and things like that. So stuff that you would have maybe not going to be your first job. Something that you would like do after you've gained a bit of experience, and then you'd be tested on that to make sure you are actually capable of doing the job.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I don't feel like these are for jobs for like young people, say like if they want to apply to McDonald's or Nando's or stuff like that, because I don't think Nando's would do like an assessment task or test or anything like that. They'll just want you to apply, maybe do like a health and safety course or whatever, but that's about it. So I feel like these are for graduate jobs or jobs that are like, say, army jobs and stuff like that, where you have to be physically fit and everything.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. 100%. Yeah, this does not apply to people that just left college. I don't think that applies.
To practice the way that you've used that thing before. So next one, cognitive ability tests. These are quite common for a range of roles. Employers are going to use them because they want to ask questions about your mental capacity to work in a particular position. So they're very much your kind of logical type tests. The most common type is a general aptitude test or a gap test. And they're usually going to involve, as I say, that kind of logic puzzles, activities, looking at logical reasoning, not necessarily doing a Rubik's Cube like in that picture, but it's that kind of thing. It's looking at your logical reasoning through puzzles and activities. For top tips for these, again, you can find practice tests online. This is a common theme that we'll keep saying. Use Google, search for general aptitude tests or gap tests, and you'll find lots of practice ones online. They're not always going to be exactly the same as the employer that you've applied for, but they'll be similar, and you're going to get kind of similar experience and get your kind of get used to doing this kind of test. Time management's key for cognitive ability tests. They can be quite long. You will have a time in which to do them, and what I would say here is make sure you do at least some of every section. So if you're finding you're taking quite a while to do one section, then there's no harm in perhaps skipping forward a bit, getting some of the other sections done, so at least you've got an answer to every section.
Personally, I don't really know what a general aptitude test actually is. I've never really heard of that, I can't lie.
I remember looking into like army jobs at some point, and they were talking about aptitude tests. So it's like, I feel like they try and get the truth by asking you, they could ask you the same question but through different types of ways. And it's like mind games and riddles. But yeah, I do feel like he is trying to get a point across, but he's not using examples that are more I don't know how to kind of like put that into words, but examples that we can relate to. Because if I'm coming straight out of college or into my first year of uni and I'm looking for a job, I'm not really looking for a job, a full-time job. I'm looking for a part-time job, something that I can balance work life and my education with. And I feel like the examples and jobs that he's thinking about and referring to, it just doesn't relate.
Yeah.
Into the context of it,
Yeah, like it's like what we were saying before. These are skills, these are tips and skills for what's it called, for those that want to have like a serious job. Because right now, like you said, like you're not really looking for anything that's going to cause you stress and hustle to apply for. Like if you're coming from college, you don't want to apply for a job and go through so many different tests, you end up giving up after like the first thing. Like the amount of times I've tried to apply for Lidl and Aldi, but just because the test is so long, I instantly give up. Like I cannot be bothered. McDonald's is the only one that I was able to like manage through, but everywhere else I'm just like, no, like it's not even going to be my long-term career. So I feel like for jobs that are for young people, which is going to last them like 6 months to a year, these types of tips don't really work out for them. Yeah, these are for people who want to stay in the job for probably like years on, or they want to progress into the job and get like manager or supervisor and stuff like that.
True.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. These aren't like sort of what we'd be expecting if you went and worked in like a local pub or something. I don't think they'd make you take a general aptitude test, but yeah, I think it's definitely for something more higher up, which I think is important because they can instantly see how you're capable of handling sort of logical puzzles, which is going to come up in like maybe not in the same sort of way, but in your everyday job you're going to face like problems and puzzles and things that you're not instantly going to know how to do. So it's sort of about like what you instinctively do and how you're going to solve them.
True. Honestly, I think he is making a few points and he's making sense, but he's not really connecting the dots as to how that can affect us or why that is important to us. But yeah, I see where he's trying to go with it. I see where he's trying to go with it.
And then you can always come back if you find you've got some time at the end, come back to the sections that you haven't quite completed. Next, we've got skills assessment tests. So employers are using these to look at your soft and hard skills. These are perhaps a little bit less common than the first two we've done, but they're usually used towards the end of the recruitment process, looking to select final candidates. Examples are going to include testing how many words you can accurately type per minute for a job that involves lots of writing. Testing if you can write a newsworthy piece of writing under time pressure or proofread your own work. Testing your ability to create spreadsheets. If you've gone for kind of a data job, looking at your Excel, how you can produce tables and charts, that kind of thing. Or actually quite a common one is being asked to do a presentation on a given topic, and that will be a case of using something like PowerPoint to put together a presentation, and obviously practicing delivering that. And they want to see how you get on, doing a presentation and hopefully engaging an audience with that. Top tips for skills assessment tests. Again, look up online for practice tests for the employer that you've applied for. You'll be surprised, how many things you'll find online for all sorts of employers, because people that have done them before have posted them, or sometimes the employer themselves has posted guides for their own tests. I always will say that with a little bit of caution, in that the employer might have changed the test since somebody's previously done it. But that said, even if the employer has changed the test, practicing an old test isn't going to be a bad thing, because it's still going to be a similar type thing, and at least it's going to give you the right kind of general direction. Again, take time to read through the instructions, make sure you really understand the task.
To be honest, I think it's interesting there that he said at the start of that, these are like more uncommon than the two previously, because maybe it's sort of like the area of jobs that I've been personally looking at, but I'd say I would have said that's more common. But I don't know, sort of being able to show the skills necessary to do the job like instantly, I'd say that is maybe a more common thing. I don't know, but maybe yeah, like I said, maybe it's just the sort of jobs I've been looking at.
No, honestly, I agree with what Kieran said, because that's more common. It's basically the trial period before you actually get the job. So that's more common, where they actually test out your skills and they test out what you're actually capable, of doing. And I know even when you apply for uni, that's also one of the reasons why they need you in, so that they can see that you've actually got the skill set to get in. So I think that's the most common one and most relevant to our age group at the moment, having the actual skill set when applying for the job.
Yeah, and most of the skills, most of the things that they look for as well, say jobs, they're just looking for you to have like some type of initiative and to, show that you can work in a fast-paced environment. And yeah, that's what they're looking for. So that's not anything new. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they said about things like making presentations and things, because that's all fairly simple stuff for me personally. I know in school and college and things, we've made plenty of presentations to do with whatever. So yeah, that's something I personally feel comfortable with doing pretty easily. Yeah, I think, and showing skills to do with whatever I was applying for, I think that'd be fairly straightforward, I think, hopefully.
So I'm going to hand over to Lindsay now. She's going to lead you through the rest of the presentation, give you a bit of change of voice.
Hi everyone, so we're now going to go through a few other tests. So the first one we're going to go through is the integrity test. So why does the employer use them? So The reason that employee use them is to see how your values match the company that you're potentially going to be working for. This is for the employer to protect themselves and make sure they're employing the right people to work for their company. So the examples of types of questions are: how would you act if a manager or co-worker gave you a task that violates company policy? Is it okay to publish work samples on your own social media? And have you ever lied to your manager in a previous role? If a client asks you to do something illegal, do you do it? And the top tips for the integrity tests are: prep by reading and understanding company values, and looking at multiple choice questions. So like Glenn has said, please use Google as your friend. So using that to look for previous integrity tests that other people may have used, whether it's for that company or not, and if they have used a multiple choice, just to get used to using that method of test.
Yeah, I think this is what personally I've seen a lot of as well. These are more so within the actual application themselves. So like if you're answering these questions, if you're answering them not what the company is looking for, I don't think they probably wouldn't even consider you for the job. You know, they want to make sure that you're sort of in the same mindset as what the company is looking for. And yeah, they're going to do it via these questions.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually true.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of these tests, and you'd find these questions definitely when applying for jobs. I know I did see a few of these when applying for the job that I have at the moment. They'll ask you things like, if you saw another employee doing something wrong, would you report it, or would you just, tell them not to do it? That type of thing. Or if you're working on a station and someone needs help, do you tell the manager, or do you stop what you're doing and help them? That type of thing.
I mean, personally, you would have thought these would be a bit self-explanatory what you have to do for this. I mean, like if they ask you, have you ever lied to your manager in a previous role, and you answered yes, I can't imagine you're receiving a call back.
I feel like anyone that does that's probably just not want the job in the first place.
That is so true. That is so true. Oh my God.
So the next one is a personality test. The reason employers use them are: personality tests indicate to employers if you fit within a company's culture and if your personality leads to an increase in productivity. So the main types are the caliper profile tests, the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which is one of the most popular personality tests that employers use, the SHL occupational personality questionnaire, the Hogan personality inventory, and the DISC behavioural inventory test. The top tips of completing a personality test are: think about employer's perspective and what sort of person do you think the employer wants working for them. And again, like I've previously said, practice to get used to the type of questions. You can look for personality tests on Google and just finding examples and get used to completing them sort of tests to find.
I think this is very dependent on sort of what job you're going for, really. I think if you're going to be maybe customer service, they're going to want someone that's more extroverted rather than someone that's like maybe going to shy away from interacting with other people. Whereas, you know, if you're maybe in an office block for 12 hours a day, maybe they might want someone more introverted, someone that's not going to cause distractions, you know, have other people chatting around them. Yeah, I think it all comes down to sort of what job you're applying for with this.
Yeah, because I know that some places that I know that some places that people apply for and stuff like that, they really do not like gossiping, or they don't like people talking about other people and stuff like that. So personality tests, I feel like, are very, very important, especially if you want to go into a field where it's like very extroverted and you're an introvert. It would be nice to kind of read upon what it is that they're looking for personality wise. And if you still want the job, maybe work on it, like work on your personality skills or your character skills and then apply for them.
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely a thing that I think it's just, I think these type of questions get literally, they're well spread out across all the other like questions when applying for a job, because they don't just, I feel like they just hide it in. Yeah, I think they just hide it in there. I'm trying to think if I've ever had like a question that's been straightforward on. I know that when applying for a job, they do tell you the skill sets that or that you might need for a role. So there'd be, you need to be social. Like for example, if I'm applying for like a customer assistant, I definitely need to be a very social person, because I'll be talking to customers, interacting with them, helping them with what they need, compared to if I was working in a warehouse and I'm just, you know, stacking things. I don't really have to talk to anyone. I'll just be told what to do or where things need to go. So I feel like it's not really, I don't really think it's in a, you'd find it in the test, maybe on the description of the job role. I'm not so sure. I haven't really come across any question within a test that's really asked me that, but that's interesting.
Just to go against that, I know someone. I'm not gonna name any names, but I know someone. They're very much like an introverted person, not very confident with talking to people and whatever. And they recently applied for a job. I think it was Aldi. I'd imagine it was like on the tills or something. And there was actually a question in their application, which was just like, "Are you good with talking to people?" And because they're an introvert, they said no. And surprise, surprise, they didn't get a call back, I don't think.
I want to expect you to get a call back, because you really like, they're looking for people who speak and people who are good at other people. He should have said no. I mean, he should have said yes.
I mean, fair to her being honest, but it's not, maybe not what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's not what they were looking for. That's not. I feel like it's just in a maybe the reason I haven't come across a question is because I am quite a social person and I read the job description, because if you read the job description and it asks you to be social, would you proceed to apply for the job? Logically, not really. But I guess it depends. I guess it depends on the situation and on the job role and where you're actually applying to.
Yeah, definitely.
Find out what sort of person you are, whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, and relate that to the company you potentially will be working for. The next one is our emotional intelligence tests. The reason employers use them are looking at relationship building skills and knowledge of emotions. For example, having high emotional intelligence can show how you can help with conflicts between co-workers. The different tests are the Burke assessment test, which is the most commonly used one. Tests involve a range of multiple choice questions similar to the personality tests. Employers looking at skills like teamwork, adaptability, and empathy. So the top tips of completing an emotional intelligence test are: be consistent with answers. For example, you cannot say you're an introvert for one question and an extrovert for the next. And again, like I previously said, practice tests can also be found online via Google by typing in emotional intelligence test examples and finding out how you want to do the test.
Yeah, I was going to say before she said it, this one sounds very very similar to the last one, and I think they sort of go hand in hand really, because like you know you can say that you're say if you're applying for like an extrovert orientated job and you said you're an extrovert, they sort of want you to then show how and why your extrovertingness is going to sort of impact the like the co-workers, the rest of the team, and how you're going to show why it's important.
That's true.
Yeah, I've come across a few questions when applying for different jobs where they've gone and they've asked me, can't remember the exact wording of the questions, but it was basically they were just asking me how do I feel about, you know, different different religions, different, you know, genders, different beliefs and all of that. And I think that they were just trying, because certain people might have problems with it, but generally I don't. And obviously if you're going into a workplace that has a very diverse range of people, they want to know that you will treat everyone equally and you'll all get along. So I feel like, yeah, I've definitely come across a few questions within applying for a job that's kind of like tested my emotional intelligence, because I feel like if you don't agree or support a certain person, your level of empathy or sympathy towards that person kind of just is almost non-existent. And in a workplace, you want to be aware of everyone and be sensitive when talking to a person or addressing a certain situation. You want to consider all those different aspects. So it's definitely a good thing that some of these job applications are testing people's emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I totally agree as well, because I feel like with emotional intelligence, they're just trying to find out how you would handle, say, someone acting violent and stuff like that. Like, what would be your professional reactions? So I don't really blame them for wanting to know how people would react in a professional setting.
Sure.
The next one is the physical ability tests. So the reason employers use this type of test is only for specific jobs that you may be applying for that have a physical aspect, such as working for the police, the fire service, or any sports and fitness coaching roles. So the top tips are: only apply for jobs for these tests if you know that you are confident that you are physically fit and able to do the job role required. These employers should have guidance as to what the expectations are. So you can ask the employer, you know, what that are expected of you, and then you can clarify whether you are up to that job or not.
Yeah, I think that was pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? Really, sort of, it's important for those companies, like I said, the police, fire brigade, and things like that, to know if you're actually physically capable of carrying out the job, and you know, if you're not going to be much use to them, I don't think.
Yeah, that's fine. That's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, very self-explanatory, as you said.
So to get in touch, follow the details below. We are located in the Coventry city centre. We do have involvement with everyone within the Coventry area, but if you are outside of the Coventry area, please feel free to still contact us, and you'll be able to access our services via the contact details below. Thank you.
Yeah. That was a good video, but I felt like that was targeted towards older people rather than younger people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with
I
that.
mean, yeah, I mean, like, I think I can understand sort of all of them, but it's like if they're going to be relevant to us, it's not. I don't know, maybe not, but I don't know if you use that careers website or whatever those resources they showed at the end. Maybe there's a whole range of things. I don't really know, but yeah.
The only one that I'd say I've used is probably Indeed. Like, if I'm looking
Yeah.
for a job or looking for anything, I've just gone Indeed or something like that, or just type in jobs closest to me or vacancies near to me.
Yeah, I think because the internet, you know, there's so much on it to do with jobs and whatever. There's about a million websites out there. You know, you're not going to be stuck for finding jobs. Really, you can just do a quick Google search and find thousands of different jobs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the internet is definitely the most important sort of service for anybody looking for a career.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely this video is, I would suggest it for certain people, because I know that I've met a few friends that are really anxious about going in and looking at jobs and everything. So this would kind of give you the information to a bit, prep you and prepare you when you're applying for jobs, that you're not always going to get every job you apply for, and kind of like what skill set you might need, what things to look out for, what tests, if you get this certain test, this is how you respond and react to it and all of that. But yeah, I personally have never had to go and research. I just, go on Indeed, like Aaliyah said, and, or just go onto Google and write jobs near me, whatever pops up. Or if I'm in a specific job, I'd be like jobs at Tesco's in Dudley, and work it from there. I've never really gone to like, a job center or careers website to get any information. So, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see if, people out there actually use it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know numbers, but I'd imagine most people, especially these days, are looking more on the internet for jobs rather than going to places like job centres, etc. I think it's just a whole lot more accessible, easier, and there's like I'd imagine there's a whole lot more on show for them.
Really, yeah. Especially with the pandemic and everything going on, you don't really want to be in a queue or in a building when you could sit at home and literally do it on your laptop or on your phone on a bus. So yeah, I don't know the numbers like you said, but I think people are sticking to like being online and trying to work from there. Definitely trying to work from there.
Yeah. Right. I think we're gonna wrap it up here, aren't we? Right.
Yeah.
It's been good learning all about sort of what we can expect in terms of tests from interviews. It's been very insightful. I think I've learned a lot personally about the different types of tests that I didn't really know existed. So yeah, it's been very interesting. Obviously, you can follow the rest of the Summer's Career Fair at Life Proof. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've been Kieran.
And I've been Mima.
I'm Aaliyah.
And thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, thank you. Do you get, guys, I enjoy saying this because I really want to see if this works out for everyone. But if you have used this information and it's actually worked out for you, do post it online and hashtag find your future or tag LifeProof UK, and that's life with a Y. Please let us know. I really want to see your stories.
Yeah, make sure you're doing that. Very interesting to see. And yeah, I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.